everyone, my name's Esther and we are on day number 8 of our devotionals, As Chance Would Have It. And firstly we're going to read from the Bible. We're going to read Ruth chapter 2 verses 1 to 3. Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone in whose eyes I find favour." Naomi said to her, "Go ahead, my daughter." So she went out, entered a field, and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. Hope on the horizon. There's a sense of hope in the air in Bethlehem. After desperate beginnings, Naomi is back in Bethlehem, and Ruth is alongside her. The narrator now gives us some important information. Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. In a short little book like Ruth, words aren't wasted. This news should make our ears perk up. Why? As we saw previously, widows were to be looked after by their dead husband's extended family. So the news that Naomi has a relative on her husband's side is very significant. Even better, he is a man of standing. This bodes well. But how will Naomi find him? And what will his response be? Hopelessly devoted. With no other means of income and no inheritance in the land, Naomi and Ruth's prospects seem otherwise pretty bleak. So much so that Ruth offers to go and glean leftover grain in the fields. Landowners were commanded by God to leave the edges of their fields unharvested so that foreigners, the fatherless, and widows could glean a harvest for themselves. But this was a humbling prospect, perhaps akin to trawling through waste bins for scraps of food. And remember that this was a time when everyone did as they saw fit. Who knew what trouble a vulnerable woman would run into if she went foraging for food alone? The God of God incidences. If verse 1 made our ears prick up, verse 3 should make our eyes widen and prompt a wry smile. As it turned out, Ruth was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. As it turned out, of all the fields in Bethlehem, which one does Ruth wander into first? A field belonging to Boaz, the one man who might be able to do something about Naomi and Ruth's sorry situation. But as we see throughout this book, nothing just turns out. This is a world created, sustained, and ordered by a God who does not fail to look after his people. A God who ensures Ruth doesn't end up in Billy's field or Barry's field, but in Boaz's field. Nothing more than God's goodness in action. This truth is sometimes called God's providence. Every event, including human thoughts, choices, and actions, occurs according to God's sovereign will. Of course, whether this is an attractive thought depends upon God's character, but if God is utterly and graciously committed to his people, what could be more reassuring? That's why Charles Spurgeon described God's providence as nothing more than his goodness in action. Give thanks that your life is in the hands of a good God who oversees his world. In times of suffering, this can be especially mind-boggling and heart-wrenching to comprehend. But it means God is using even these seasons to grow us in Christ-likeness and to display his sovereign kindness to us, in us, and through us, for all eternity. How does this change how you face the coming day?